Well, you're here. I'm here. Let's do it. This week, we're talking about Randy Orton's 2002 to 2004. And this is apropos, man. Big 20th anniversary recently for Randy Orton. How special was it to see and celebrate that? And just all the social media attention, John Cena and others coming out and talking about Randy and his impact. Pretty special what he's done, what he's been able to do for the WWE.
It's incredible to have a 2-year career, much less a 20-year career. So kudos to Randy. And not, people look at it and say, well, he's been in the business a long time. It's 20 years of being one of the top performers ever in our industry. And Randy has accomplished that. I think that he's got more time left and will continue to accomplish great things.
Well, this week, we're going to dial in on the first 2 years of his time with WWE, 2002 through 2004, the impact that Randy had on the company as part of the young roster that came up from OVW all the way to being the youngest world champion in WWE history at the time. And so let's start with it. It starts in 2002. He's on the road with the WWF at the time to start working house shows, dark matches at TV tapings. He's taking on the likes of Shawn Stasiak, Brock Lesnar, Sho Funaki, and even Mr. Perfect. What was it about Randy at this time that told everyone he was ready for prime time? Or do you think he was, Bruce?
Well, I think that you have to really go back to the beginning. And 2 years, and the reason that I say that is because I did, and I don't talk about current things right now, but I did congratulate Randy recently on his huge accomplishment. And he says, Bruce, yeah, it was 20 years ago since I came up to the main roster, but it was 22 years ago that I started in OVW and I started training and I just started on this journey. And I started to laugh and he says, yeah, I know. It's 22 years ago that I got the call from his father. And it was Bob Orton Jr. who called me one day and asked if we would be interested in taking a look at his son and helping his son out. Randy was 19 years old at the time, I believe. And Bob kind of chuckled and says, don't judge him on me. He's a good kid. He's going to be all right. He's not a fuck up like his old man. And I said, Bob, I never thought you were a fuck up because I used to enjoy, having a cold adult beverage with Bob from time to time on the road. And you have to judge everybody for themselves. Again, I will give that piece of advice to everybody in any walk of life. Judge people for yourself and how they treat you and how they are with you versus what you hear about them and what you read about them that may not be 100% accurate. So it was 22 years ago that Randy started and embarked in this training journey. And the first time that Randy got into the ring, you saw a star. You saw someone that belonged and was comfortable immediately in the ring. And that's not always often the case. So 22 years ago, man, it was looking into the future and saying, this guy is going to be a star. And this guy is going to be special. And seeing Randy when he finally got to the main roster and walked out on television, there's a poise, there's a confidence that you can't teach. Like you can't teach someone how to be 7 feet tall. You can't teach someone how to be poised and how to own it. And Randy walked out owning wherever he was.
Well, the thing that really opened it up for Randy and many others at this point would be the draft and the brand extension, Bruce, and it allowed to free up the roster space for Randy and many other young guns to come up from OVW. Am I right?
The idea was to introduce new talent, to be able to take the existing talent that we had, split it up, and have two different brands, Raw and SmackDown. But it was an opportunity for talent that we felt was ready to come up and some that weren't necessarily ready to come up. And get them active on the roster. And it was a perfect timing for Randy and Cena and Batista and others.
Yeah, you mentioned Cena, Batista, Brock Lesnar, and so these guys are starting to come up. What does the decision-making process look like in terms of, say, a Randy Orton or a Brock Lesnar? Hey, I want this guy. Let's try him on Raw. Let's try this one on SmackDown. Do you remember what that was like as far as talking about bringing up these rookies and deciding where they're going to go at the time?
More than anything, it was who's there, who's available, and what stage of training are they in. The reaction to pretty much every guy whenever you bring them up most times is they're not ready. They're too young, they're not ready, they don't have it or whatever. You're never going to know. You're never going to know. They could be too young. You're right. They may not be ready at the time, but when are they going to be ready? And the only way to get ready to be on the main roster is to be on the main roster and try them out and learn on the job.
Yeah, and it's a little different back then because OVW wasn't like NXT is today. There's not national television trial for gimmicks, etc. And do you think that hindered Orton or the other talent at all back then?
No, actually, I think it was an advantage not being on national television, having everyone see you. This way, the national audience, first time they saw you was when you came to Raw or SmackDown, and you had an opportunity to make it true first impression on the big stage. You know, that's good or bad, however you want to look at it. But the first time that the national audience saw them would be on Raw, SmackDown. And that is scary and it's challenging, but at the same time, it's a way to make a big bang.
Well, Bruce, the story has always been that Sean Waltman was the litmus test for talent coming into the company, and if they had it or didn't have it. And in this era, as we get closer to his TV debut, Randy's working with Christian, Waltman, Lance Storm. Were they the litmus test at this time?
You know, this litmus test has been, that's just kind of urban myth. Were they great talents to put talent in the ring with and have matches? Absolutely. But, you know, they were judged by others and looked at, and you want.
Time to take your pills. That's my line right here.
No, that's not your damn. You don't have any lines.
Oh, okay.
The hell. See, okay, that is that not good? See, that was an alarm, folks. Yes, it really and truly, that was an alarm. That was an alarm to wake up. But man, we've been up. This is what our third or fourth show that we've already recorded. We've been up for hours.
As long as they're not calling you into the office and we can.
So truth, I'm going to do the truth bomb. I don't need somebody in Congress or anybody else to tell me what the truth is or not, because I'm telling you the truth right now. They need to go and examine the dirt sheets out in California if they want to like stop lies and bullshit from being spread. There's a place that they can start right there if they want a truth commission with Nancy Pelosi and everybody. Good Lord. Don't even get me started. I'm not going to go down that political rabbit hole. However, I do have a good place if the Truth Commission wants to start looking into truth, and it's down there. But the truth is that I was going to get, see, I did have an alarm set, and I was getting up to do this damn thing. And it's only because I didn't have a show last night, and I didn't get in at 3 o'clock in the morning. And
I didn't even say Meltzer said yet, and you're already off and running. I didn't even say his name.
Hopefully people are investigating his truths and or untruths.
Okay. Well, listen.
All that from an alarm. You're welcome.
All that, but that's good. Well, listen, let's get here. We're here, Bruce.
Where? I know. I'm here. You're there.